ADOS and our allies. You know who it is. Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest on the Friends of ADOS TV channel, bringing you those ADOS hot topics and making the case for reparations, a Black agenda in exchange for our vote this election cycle. Follow in. What's up, Trey X ADOS? Thank you so much, my brother, for joining the live. You guys start your watch parties, family. That's right, baby. ADOS rising. We are here. Yes, family. I'm so glad that you're filing in to help me through this show. It's been a lot, family. It's been a lot. It's always a lot as the ADOS life turns, right, family? I've decided that I'm going to have to just do my shows Tuesdays, Thursdays, possibly Saturday or Sunday. I'm really affixed on Sunday nights for some reason. Yeah, as I wind down my week. Family, because it's just too much. I have to do a lot of research to bring you Friends of ADOS TV. It's a lot involved, not just in terms of research, but emotionally, what it's doing to me since allowing myself to learn more about all of the mayhem, the atrocities against the ADOS. It's a lot for me. So I've decided that I won't, do shows every day. I need that kind of mental health break to regroup and collect myself. You guys understand why I must do that, right? And also, on Monday and Wednesdays, my show tends to go over and is competing with Yvette Carnell, and we all want to file in and be over there for that education at Breaking Brown. So I'm not going to, be fussing and fighting over Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays. I'm just going to decompress. What's up, Danny Arnold? Thank you so much for joining live, my brother. As usual, you guys are my co-hosts. I want you guys to chat your comments and your questions, and I will leave a few minutes at the end of the show to read and to have an exchange and to tell you the way I see it. Always, family, going to keep it 100 with you. Tonight, we're going to go over presidential candidate Biden and why he is in a dead heat with Miami. I'm going to read you those numbers from The Color of Wealth, Miami, so you can understand what's happening in Florida and how all over this country, the ADOS is oppressed under the master's boot even still. And of course, we're going to get back to Prejudential, Black America and the Presidents, Margaret Kimberley. These chapters tonight are very short that I'm going to read to you. So, prayerfully, I'll get you guys in and out within an hour. Do you, fam? We got your back. I love y'all Black and Strong for having my back. I so appreciate you. But ADOS is winning, family. It may not feel like it, but we are gaining a lot of support for the work that we're doing. So please continue to lean in wherever you're slinging bricks. Continue to talk about the ADOS. Continue to talk about our justice claim. Trey says, I heard the Cubans in Miami are unanimously support Trump. Yes, because they're white. We're going to get into the numbers. And you're going to understand, you're going to understand why the Cubans down in Miami are pro-Trump. Okay? Because most white folks are pro-Trump. The Democratic Party is going for those middle kind of Republicans who consider themselves a little bit more liberal. All right? They're all protecting the billionaire class, both sides, okay? There's nothing new under the sun. But the Democrats are going after the immigrant vote, and they're going after the Republican vote. And when I get into this data, you're going to come to understand why they're doing that. Because they are really seeking to make ADOS eat the cost of slavery, to make ADOS be tethered to the bottom as a permanent bottom caste in the country our ancestors built with their lives. But the ADOS movement is not here for that. we have a protest strategy in place to shut it down until they run us that reparations check in the trillions over multi-generations. Speaking of which, shout out to Sean Rochester, who wrote The Black Tax, The Cost of Being Black in America. I have been feasting on his Google Talk, and the things he shared in there are just atrocious. He talks about our reparations trending more towards 70 trillion, not the 17 trillion that Dr. Darity has reported. And it's imperative that we get this number right, family, because we got, one shot to get this right. And along the way, of course, we're having to fight NARC and NCOBRA. Now, Dr. Umar Johnson talking out the side of his neck that our reparations here in this country for the chattel slavery our ancestors endured is to make everyone whole. Shout out to Naheem Elware over at Be the Power. I was just watching his show before starting my own, and what that moron is talking about, no cash. He is talking a lot of white conservative talking points, such as, us blowing our checks when we get them, as if we are 35, 40 million strong in this country and don't know what to do with our reparations. Folks want to use that as an excuse to deny us because many of them don't have access to that justice claim. So lots of folks are trying to crowbar their way in on our reparations, trying to say it's not warranted, it can't be cash. Sheila Jackson Lee included over at the CBC, whom John Conyers left in charge of the HR 40 bill that has no teeth in it. We're still pushing to get teeth in that bill. We're still pushing for those changes. But the ADOS movement takes catnaps. We're not playing with these reparations. The gate is up, and we are leaning in every respect. We managed to get reparations for the state of California. Shout out to ADOS California. Our changes are being incorporated into that because, of course, they wanted to do that in a very empty kind of way. To the ADOS came for it and put their changes in there. And so now that's on its way to Governor Newsom's desk. Okay, so ADOS all over the country is putting in that work to put the gate up because we are the only ones entitled to reparations. Okay, the Black agenda can include others, but that's slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives is ours to own. Okay, so anywho, let me dig in because I don't want to be long-winded. Y'all know I was born to talk. I want to go over these numbers for you in Miami to help you understand why there is a dead heat between the Latino group, who no one is shaming, by the way. No one is writing them about how they need to get on board and unseat Trump. I'm talking about the Democrats. I don't hear the Democrats shaming the Latinos. I see them clamoring to give them more access to citizenship before making us American. It is their plan to continue to replace us to the tune of 11 million more Hispanics crossing the border. Down here in California, we're going to be most impacted if the Democrats win. We're already 6% to their 51% down here. And all kinds of racism is happening in the workplace. We are 44% degree, 6% down here in LA, and only 6% of the private sector. Let that sink in. And so we've been replaced down here in California, and as goes California, so goes the rest of the country. Wait for it. So it would behoove all of us to get into this protest strategy vote, Green Party or blank, top of the ticket, because they're changing the rules constantly. There are some states that are never states. You can never write in or the whole ballot goes, okay? Understand that there are 42% of ADOS who rely on government assistance by design. We need to guarantee that they have a Democratic Congress. So our goal in our protest vote is to gridlock Congress for the next 4 years until the Democrats come ready with some seriousness the next election cycle in 2024 to talk about reparations in our Black agenda. And don't let those progressives fool you. I don't hear Nina Turner, or Dr. Cornel West leaning in on reparations for ADOS, not over in this Our People's Party. That ain't ADOS, people. We're being excluded over there for white protection, okay? Because they're the majority in this country. So I get that they've got their strategy, but ADOS got theirs. ADOS says the candidate we put our vote behind has to be full-chested about reparations and a Black agenda. That's what we find over in the Green Party. Check them out at gp.org. Black American, thank you for joining the live. Our God is preparing the invoice for America. I like my checks with melted butter. Amen to that. Nobody can tell you or shame you or guilt you in how you spend your million or however many millions you've got coming over multi-generations. I was sharing about Sean Rochester in the Black Tax. We're going to put that on your book list. Order it now. I don't even think mine comes until October. The Black Tax, the cost of being Black in America, has us at 40 million in number, worth 1.5 trillion. Okay, so the data we've been using apparently is outdated. We've been talking about 2.3 trillion being shared by 10% of Blacks in this country, as compared to 90% of ADOS sharing 700 billion to white folks 100 trillion. So apparently the numbers are off because Sean Rochester has shared in his book, The Black Tax, that we are 40 million and only 1.5 trillion. And when we go through that book, it's going to make your hair stand completely on its ends to see the purposeful, intentional legislation and institutional systemic racism that got us all the way to George Floyd, 8 minutes, 46 seconds on the neck. Okay? Jacob Blake, 7 shots to the back in front of his minor children, 3 of 6. Breonna Taylor murdered in her home. Speaking of which, the family just won a $12 million settlement. That's not enough anymore because you see, they got us paying twice for these race soldiers' executions of our people. We pay their salaries and then we pay their settlements. Down with qualified immunity, or don't talk to me about reform, because you're not serious unless you want to dismantle private prisons, the new slavery, the new convict leasing. Until you are serious about dismantling prisons and dismantling qualified immunity, you're not serious about reform in this racist country. Robin Freelinks, what's up? Thank you for joining the live. Herbert Venable, thank you for writing that, family. The Black Tax, The Cost of Being Black in America by Sean Rochester. If one of you lovelies can write that in the chat for me so I can keep the train moving, because I know I get ear fatigue. I know y'all probably get tired of hearing me talk, but oh well. I was born to talk. This is the way God told me to use my gifts to help my people get reparations. So I thank y'all for rolling with the sister. But anywho, you know they're paying taxes on that 12 million. You know they're paying taxes on that 12 million. Did I say 12 million? Please, Danny, give me some context. Honey, my thoughts be flowing so fluidly. I could just swing from one thought to another and not be the wiser what you're referencing. So when you guys type in the chat, please reference back to what you're referring to. Melanated integrity. Oh, I love you, Black and Strong. We love you, Angela Nirvana, and all the diamonds you share with us, sister. Your friends of ADOS TV keeps us learning. And you know what I love? That y'all love to learn. That just thrills me through and through. Y'all should see my wall. One day I'll show you. Books everywhere. And I just keep ordering them. I like the kind that turn. I like the crisp pages, y'all. I like to mark up my books, okay? The Taylor family. Oh, thank you. Breonna, thank you for bringing me back. Lord, Danny, thank you, love. Yes, the Taylor family got 12 million and they will be taxed on that, but we're being taxed on that. We pay for the race soldiers to be hired. They come to our communities, execute us with impunity, and then we pay their settlements due to qualified immunity. No arrest, but they gave them $12 million. Breonna Taylor's family received $12 million from the state of Kentucky, but no arrest. That's what we want. We not only want arrests, we want convictions. None of this stops until you dismantle qualified immunity. None of it stops, family. And if these Democrats get another term, ADOS will be the only one suffering. trust and believe that everybody else will go home and be silent. We want to socialize our suffering. This is a time to do it this election cycle. We already know what suffering is. We've been suffering since they sold us and stole us into chattel slavery in this country. We have been suffering ever since. So we're quite accustomed to it. Everybody else is freaking out. You want to socialize your misery this election cycle by voting Green Party top of the ticket. That's a place that we're vetting to see if that's a home for ADOS, because clearly the Democratic Party has given us their ass to kiss this election cycle, and pretty much for all the election cycles prior. That's why we're reading from Prejudential. So let's get into some hard numbers about why, the Latinos who are not being shamed, the Mexicans and Latinos are not being shamed for delivering Trump this election cycle. They don't want their wages to be driven down either by the poor Hispanics that are going to be allowed into this country. Nobody wants to deal with how immigration hurts and impacts ADOS, especially our men. Only 16% of us hold college degrees. Speaking of which, Kamala Harris has offered to waive every HBCU student loan debt. What does that mean exactly, family? How many ADOS are at those HBCUs? Yvette Carnell just shared a graduating class, I want to say from Howard, one of the schools. I want to say it was physical therapy or something like that. Don't quote me. She shared it in the Twitter. There was one black man in that graduating class. Everybody else was white and immigrant. So no wonder why she wants to erase student loan debt at the HBCUs. You see the trick bag, family? It's constant. They have you thinking that she's actually doing something for you when we can't even afford to be at the HBCUs. That's another white and immigrant wealth transfer, family. And a quote from Yvette Carnell, distinction is not division. If you and your feelings take it up with your God, I'm not apologizing for being ADOS first, second, and third. That's not going to happen at this show. I'm not going to continue to explain that being pro-ADOS is not anti-immigrant and it isn't pro-Trump. I'm done with that. So if you're in your feelings, you and your God need to go into your prayer closet and figure that out. Ain't my monkey, ain't my circus, I ain't owning it. I'm ADOS first for a change. It's time for everyone else to come off the tick. I've said this before. We have been nursing all the other groups to our own peril. How many more election cycles are we going to have to bail out whites? They want us to use the only commodity we've got to unseat Trump when we didn't put him in office. Anywho, moving on. That's that. I want to go to my gallery where I snapshot some of these tables to read to you guys to help you understand why so many folks in Miami are pro-Trump. You got to understand, family. You've got to understand, and we're going to get some understanding up in here today. Okay, so basically, let's see, where am I going to start? Business ownership and sales by race and ethnicity. Let me back up. I want to go and talk about our $11 liquid to the bazillions all the immigrants hold. Okay, let's go there. Just a second, please, family. Bear with. I took my snapshot, so I'm not scrolling through 100 pages. Let's go back. Okay. Okay, let's start by the population by group, race, and origin. Now, this is a report that pulls from 2013 through 2015, okay, family? So, in Miami, non-Latino whites, now mind you, they identify as white. The Latino and the Mexicans identify as white, okay? But these are the non-Latino whites. In Miami, 33.1%. U.S. Black, non-Latino, that's 8. Well, I want to say that's ADOS, but I don't know for certain. They've broken out all the Caribbean immigrants, but they didn't break out African immigrants. So I don't know if that means that they're too small to count down there. What's up, Jay Boogie? Voting for Trump will not solve anything. Who's voting for Trump? Anywho, Angela Brooks, a lot of Hispanics in Phoenix is pro-Trump, but they'll lie and say they're not. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's what the white women did the last election cycle. They claim they were voting for Hillary. They went into those polls and voted for Trump. That's what they do. You can't trust these liberals? No, 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 no. They're just as racist. They're just more polite. Anyway, Miami. So back to my thing. So 7.3% of us are in Miami compared to 33.1% of white non-Latino. Cubans are 18.4%. Colombian are 4.4%. Puerto Rico, 3.9%. Dominican, 1.8%. Haitians, 4%. Jamaican, 2.5%. Trinidad, Tobago, 0.7%. Black Latinos are 2.8%. Okay? So keep those numbers in mind, family, as we move on. Okay, so in terms of liquid assets, of the whites in Miami, 94.9% of them are liquid. U.S. Black are 58.9. I'm not going to read the checking and savings. You guys can go and pull down the free download of The Color of Wealth Miami, and you guys can see all the rest of the data for yourself. I'm just sticking to the finer points so that I can, in fact, get to our book read for this evening. Yeah, Danny, right? Wow. Okay, white. 94.9 to U.S. Black, 58.9. To Caribbean Black, 72.9. To Puerto Rico, 79.2. Cubans, 86%. South Americans, 79.6. Other Hispanics, 70.7. We're the lowest in terms of liquid assets. ADOS, who made cotton king to the tune of $42 trillion. Moving on. Percentage of households owning stocks, IRAs, or private annuities. White folks own about 39.7% of stock. U.S. Black, 10.8%. I'm only reading numbers higher than U.S. Black. Caribbean Black, 8.6. Oh, sorry, I said only the ones higher. Puerto Ricans, 12.7%. Cubans, 17.4%. Other Hispanic, 14.4%. To U.S. Black, 10.8% in stock ownership. Let's talk about IRAs for retirement. 39.4% of whites have IRAs. U.S. Black, 22.7%. Puerto Ricans, 28.4%. Cubans, 31.6%. South Americans, 23.7%. Other Hispanic, 20%. To U.S. Black, 22.7%. Those were IRAs I just read, the capacity to retire. Okay, so in terms of percentage of households that have tangible assets by type of asset. Okay, so hold on. 63.6% of whites own homes, 92.7% of them own cars. U.S. Black, 50.8% of us own homes, 80.2% of us own cars. Okay, Caribbean Black, 61.6% of them own homes, 75.4% of them own cars. Just reading what's higher than ADOS. Cubans, 63.8% own homes as compared to 50% of ADOS. To 86.2% of them own cars. South Americans, 52.2% of South America to ADOS, 50% own homes. 79.2% of them own cars. Other Hispanic, 56.1% of them own homes to ADOS, 50%. 85.3% of them own cars. Let's talk about the comparison of the value of the assets held by household, race, and ethnicity. Okay, liquid, in terms of liquidity and total assets. Let me read you. It's sad, but it's like laughable sad. Whites, liquid assets, $10,750. ADOS, liquidity is $11. Everybody's higher than us. Let me just read them. Caribbean Black, 2,000 liquid to ADOS, 11. Puerto Rican, 200 liquid to ADOS 11. They're about as liquid as ADOS here in LA is. 200 liquid here. Puerto Ricans. Cubans, 3,200 to ADOS 11 liquidity. South American, 2,200 to ADOS 11 liquid. Other Hispanics even, 5,000 liquid to ADOS $11 liquid. So when folks are out here telling you do for selferism to pull yourself up by your bootless straps, give them your middle finger. Give them your middle finger. Because number one, at the end of our when we were emancipated, we were 4 million. We got 40 million, 35 million of those is ADOS. So apparently we have been pulling ourselves up by our bootless straps, right, family? We have been making much ado about nothing as the Democrats and the Republicans guarantee that we stay enslaved to them in this country. We're going to get into it in The Black Tax. You must get that book by Sean Rochester. Like I said at the top of the show, he computes 70 trillion is what we're owed. That is the cost of what they've stolen from us in terms of what it would be valued at today. Okay? And it's due to slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives. And everybody, immigrants, get to be more liquid than us. $11 liquid in Miami. Let's talk about total assets. This is going to blow your wig completely off. White folks in Miami, 113,500 liquid in total assets, total, not liquidity, total assets, 113,500 to ADOS $6,700, to Caribbean Black $14,000, to Puerto Ricans $10,500, to Cubans $26,500, to South American $12,000, to other Hispanics $17,000, to ADOS $6,700 total assets in Miami. And our ancestors built all the wealth that all the immigrants and white folks benefit from all throughout the country. Yeah, we need to calculate Black American invention as well. That's one of the things. Thank you, Danny Arnold. That's one of the things I'm seeking in the book, to find out if he calculated stolen intellectual property. Yes, I'm mad. Beast Wag 69. I'm big mad. We have no wealth and we build all the wealth. We're the legs of the table everyone else eats from. Why aren't you mad is the question. Maybe you're immigrant. Maybe you're white. The biggest problem in the Black community is a regressive culture. Okay, see. Let me move on. These are I get a lot of Neanderthals coming in from Periscope. I don't want to accuse those of you who are not Neanderthals, but Twitter has some real Neanderthals. I'm going to keep moving because ADOS understands my anger and my frustration. We're still slaves all over the country, Danny. We're still slaves everywhere. I told you at the top of the show, ADOS is 200 liquid in LA, 6%, 44% degrees, only 6% in the private sector, because they took away affirmative action in 96. ADOS has put that measure back on the ballot this election cycle, so we can finally get affirmative action for ADOS. We've got a reparations bill to be studied here for the state of California, headed to the desk of Gavin Newsom with our changes, our edits, and we're getting ex-felons the right to vote. ADOS, we are here. And yes, I'm angry. Practically every show, I'm pissed. Nothing new over here. My people are being executed by the race soldiers disproportionately. We're dying from the COVID disproportionately due to lack of health care. We have the most disproportionate number of cases of COVID due to lack of health care. We're undereducated in our communities. We've got a preschool to prison pipeline. We are the targets. Being poor makes us a target in this country that our ancestors built with their lives. I'm big mad, bro. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Miseducated, preschool to prison pipeline, don't have money to buy homes, living a bazillion folks in a crowded tenement housing that's laden with environmental hazards, lead in our water, underemployment. We're being suppressed and oppressed by whites and immigrants in the country our ancestors built with their lives. As everyone marched to the streets because it's popular to march about Black life, well, while not giving a damn that reparations matter. You don't give a damn about Black life if you don't give a damn about the trillions we are owed for making you comfortable in this country. So I'm big mad. Make no mistake about it. I'm trying to wake up the sheeple. Because if we continue to do the same thing, expecting different results, that's called the definition of insanity. And most ADOS, the lineage, is insane. To think this lesser of two evil nonsense two-step shuffle to our own peril is working. We are here to break the back of it. Shut it down. Burn it to the ground. If my people are not repaired in the trillions over multi-generations, that's my square. Take issue with it. Get the hell off my show. Back to the text, family. So I just share with you total assets. I just share with you total assets and how we're on the bottom. Immigrants and white folks. This is why they're voting for Trump. To keep us tethered to the bottom. Nicole says we should be angry. We keep getting the scraps on the table. I'm tired of it. You're on fire. Sis, ain't it crazy? We have to wake people up to get trillions that we are owed to us. It makes no sense. Thank you, baby. I'm doing my best. I don't give a damn about nobody. Everybody can get it. Everybody can get that Nirvana smoke. Everybody can get it. Because that's what I'm on right now. This should incense you that you have no wealth and barely any income. You think the COVID took us out. You wait to see what's coming and how many Black folks are going to be losing their homes. We lost 43% of our wealth under Obama. And y'all continuing to show up for this nonsense. They ain't offering you nothing. Told you they ain't giving you nothing. Not the 8 movement. Tear it down, burn it to the ground. Let's socialize our suffering. Median net worth. White folks, median net worth is $107,000 to U.S. Black $3,700 to Caribbean Black $12,000 to Cubans $22,000, South American, let's go, they're under us. Other Hispanic $10,500 to ADOS $3,700. Nicole, this ain't even scraps, darling. This is the slop the pigs eat. Let's deal with bachelor's degrees and higher. This is how you know institutional systemic racism is working. Because the percentage of banked households, let's see here. Listen to this. Bachelor's degree or higher. Percentage of banked households. I don't know how they did it. Okay. Percentage of banked households, 92.1% are white. Black, 78.7%. Latinx, 78.2%. There's no way immigrant Black should be this close to whatever the hell we're doing. And there's no way that we should be this disparate from the white folks in this country. This is what our ancestors' chattel slave labor got them and what it got us. More enslavement by a different name. Home ownership rates White 65.7% to black 71.4% to Latinx 62.8. Okay, we did all this. Net worth. Let's jump down. Net worth. White folks' net worth is $301,000 to blacks 32,000 to Latinx 87.5. Crime Bill Joe, Trey says, is worse than Trump. Absolutely. They stick the shiv in you and gut you with a smile. These are Andrew Johnson's Democrats. You know, the one who took the 40 acres and a mule from us and gave us Freedmen's Bureau Bank and let white folks charge the bank to rob us again. That's the ilk of who you're dealing with right now, these corporatists. Democrats have always been Andrew Johnson. Got y'all stupidly voting for the lesser of two evil when it's all evil. Yes, I blame us for continuing in this tradition under the auspice that the ancestors died for us to have the right to vote. They died for us to have the right to be American. They thought the vote would do that for us. They didn't die for us to put our intellect in the trunk and not to start a revolution. I got a daughter to leave this shithole to. And your children. It's not enough that a small percentage of us have now become the unicorns and we ain't working with much. We may have income. We may still have our homes right now. But we don't have wealth to give to our children. Obama told us no to reparations and made 1 million white millionaires during his tenure. I'm big mad. Voted for his ass twice. I'm skipping some because I just want to get to the brass tacks so I can get to my text. I'm at 37 minutes. Good Lord. Thank God that text is short tonight. Okay, business ownership and sales by race and ethnicity. Percentage of all firms, white folks own 77.8% to ADOS 13.9%, to non-Latinx 50.5%, to Latinx 47%, to Cubans 40.3%. This is in Miami. Percentage of sales for non-publicly, okay? White percentage of sales, I guess that means not publicly traded. They can be scared of Trump, Danny. I'm scared of our extinction. And nobody can tell me, other than he's mean and a racist, what he's done more egregious than Jim Crow segregationist Joe Biden's 94 crime bill, which now has given birth to close to 1 million black men on lockdown. A large percentage of them are there for nonviolent offenses, for the new slavery, for the new form of convict leasing. While he talks about empty reforms with no timelines, and none of it includes dismantling private prisons or nor dismantling qualified immunity. So he ain't talking about nothing. There's nothing new happening to ADOS than it was under Obama and all the prior presidents. Nothing. It's just being televised in social media eyes, as is our revolution. Whites. Okay, sales. I'm assuming these sales mean they're not public companies. Whites, 92.8%. To black, 2.1%. To Asian, 3.9%. To non-Latinx ethnicities here, 68.3%. To Latinx, 30.1%, to Cuban, 44.3%, Puerto Rican, 3.5%, and Mexicans, 4.1%. All of this to our sales, 2.1%. This is the demographic and socioeconomic characteristics by Caribbean ancestral origin in Miami. White, non-Latinx, 64,495. White, non-Latinx were foreign-born, 13.8%. U.S. Black, 2.2%. Haitians, 63.9% of them were foreign-born. Jamaicans, 72.7% foreign-born. 72.6% Trinidad Tobago, and Black Latinx 14.9%. Bachelor's degree or higher. White non-Latinx 32.1%. Their unemployment rate is 6.2%. Their median income is $60,000. Home ownership 70.8%. Blacks, U.S. Black, non-Latinx, 11.8% of us have degrees. 15.9% is our unemployment, the highest of everyone. 35,100, whites damn near making double what we make, is our median income, and home ownership rate 37.2%. As for Haitians, I'm going to only read the higher, okay? Their median income, Haitians now, they have fewer degrees than us. They're 9.3% degreed, 14.5% of the unemployment, but their median income is $2,000 more than ours at $37,000. Jamaicans, 18% of them are degreed to our 11.8%. Their unemployment rate is lower than ours. Ours is 15.9%, theirs is 11.6%. Their median income is $42,000 to our $35,100. Their home ownership is 54.6 to our 37.2. You're being replaced by immigrants. Wake up, sheeple. Trinidad Tobago, 20.5% of them educated to our 11.8. Their unemployment rate is 9 basis points lower than ours at 15%. Their median income is $49,000 to our $35,100. Home ownership 59.5% to ADOS 37.2. Do you see who's been on Pan-Africanism? Only the sheeple, only the ignorant, uninformed ADOS the lineage. These folks, this is why they not running through the streets caping for your reparations and your black agenda. Let's keep it a buck. Why would they trade places with ADOS? Y'all need to share this video, make it go viral. Black Latinx, 14.1% of Black Latinx to our 11.8% have bachelor's degree or higher. Their unemployment rate is 9.4% to our 15.9%. We make $100 more than them, but we're twice as educated. I'm sorry. We make $100 more than them in our median income. $35,100 is us. They earn a median income of $35,000. And we're twice, our unemployment rate is twice theirs, but they're more educated than us at 14.1% to our 11.8. And their home ownership rate is 33.1% to our 37.2. So This is why there is a dead heat. And they're doing so well. And they understand how we got here. That them coming here has oppressed us. So to bring in more poor of them suppresses and oppresses them and their salaries. They don't want that. That's why they're going to be voting for Trump this election cycle. And I don't hear anybody from the Democratic Party fighting them about their voting for Trump to protect their interests and their assets and their income and their self-worth and their net worth and their assets, which we clearly don't possess. All we've got is our vote. Y'all see why I had to move the show to Tuesday, Thursday, and either Saturday or Sunday. This is too much to see in black and white. That's The Color of Wealth Miami, put together by scholars, including Dr. William Sandy Darity, our lead economist in the movement, whom we follow. Let's get on to more of the puckery, and I'll bless you guys and put a covering over you. I have to do this show because God told me to use my voice in this way to help the ADOS lineage to wake up and stop this identity politics and get invested in what's happening to your people. Not just what's happening in your small little world. How convenient that you get to sleep peaceably because the ADOS movement puts in work by showing up to the show to get informed. Danny says they're messing with us because they know we aren't voting Republican. Yeah, they know we're not voting Republican, but they've already replaced us. So now the fight is to, go after the immigrant vote. And just like the challenge they're having with the Republican vote, that's going to be an uphill battle because they're stupidly believing that the immigrants want more immigrants in this country when they don't. They're against Central America being over here because they're poor. And you let more poor of them in here, what happens to that? It creates more socialism. It creates more of a tax on us to take care of the poor people from these immigrant countries. And instead of this country helping them to be whole in their own countries, white capitalism loves them to be here because that means they can deny you. They can tether you to the bottom as a permanent underclass in the country your ancestors built with their lives. That's what they're intending to do to ADOS. That's not how any of this works. Green Party, top a ticket or leave it blank so your ballot don't get thrown out. I don't care if they say you can write it in. Don't trust anything they say. They're liars and thieves. And do not trust your vote in the mail. Find your nearest polling station. I don't care if you have to sit in your car for an hour, you drive it through. Every ADOS needs to get informed right now and get in that early voting. We need all hands on decks to deliver a Democratic Congress. If Trump wins, it'll gridlock the government so we can continue to put pressure on the Democrats for the 2024 election for them to run reparations out their mouths, not just to study this toothless. Thank you, my friend. I love y'all black and strong. The stakes are really high. I'm glad, that's why you feel my energy. This stuff is serious when you start to open your eyes. Once you know, you can't not know. Once you know, you got to do something about it. You can't be comfortable knowing these numbers and what's happening to your people. I'm cocooned, 20-minute walk to the beach. But I too have been victimized by institutional systemic racism down here. That's why I fight for the people. If I can undergo it as an educated woman with a ton of experience in many different industries and a homeowner here in Southern California, one of the most expensive states in the known world, thanks to my God that is within me, they gave me everything. That's the only sponsor I've had and has given me a beautiful family that has come to my aid when times got rough. They have been my reparations. Shout out to my family, my sisters, my mom. Thank you. I thank God for you. But how many ADOS families with these numbers have family that can bail them out when the system oppresses them? Because all they have to do is do it in our last names. We don't have accents to weaponize. We have our master's last names. And when we go through the book I mentioned earlier, The Black Tax, you're going to see in the numbers some more. We're going to do even more numbers, how we have been etched out of being American while being replaced by immigrants and whites who get hired more readily than us with the same credentials. They did several exercises to see who would get called in for the interviews. If you were Keisha, you were not getting a call. So they do this by your names and your resumes. You can have the same education and the same experience, but your name is a dead giveaway. And even when you show up, your braids are a giveaway. Your strength is a giveaway. Your success is a giveaway. I had it happen to me at Wells Fargo Bank. They replaced mostly every ADOS with a Hispanic, because I was earning $120,000 a year there based on my acumen, my gifts, my ability. I did it with an afro. What they told me when I first got here to LA, you know how superficial they are out here. I don't run with the superficial. Let's be clear. The God brings in my circle are of my ilk. They ride for ADOS. I don't even have to go searching for them. They come to me like a magnet. That's everywhere I've lived throughout the country. I lived in the Bay, went to Howard University in Washington, D.C. Okay? Lived in the East Coast, New York City. I lived all over. And when I got here, they told me to mash down my beautiful red natural. Told me to mash it down because wasn't nobody gonna hire me. Wells Fargo Bank hired me, white folks. And with that natural, I went in there and closed big business. If I was earning $120,000, most of which was commission, you can trust and believe Wells Fargo was making a grip 5 times that off my portfolio. And they replaced us with Hispanics. That's why we've gone from 16% to 6% down here. And we don't even know of that 6% who's really ADOS, because they flattened that number in the Color of Wealth LA. That includes African and Caribbean immigrants. Education and gig jobs do not close a $100 trillion racial wealth gap. And I don't even know if that number is still the same. We're talking COVID. So the numbers I'm reading to you are between 2000 and 2015, with the latest report, the more recent report being Color of Wealth, Miami. What is it now, post-COVID? With 40 million, which is our number. We 40 million in this country. We got 40 million laid off. What percentage of that is ADOS? What percentage of those jobs will ever come back for ADOS? As they take care of white folks and immigrants over you, and you running to cast your vote for Biden and Kamala. You done bumped your head. Not the ADOS movement. Millard Fillmore, 1850 to 1853, was the vice presidential candidate on the 1848 ticket because his running mate, Zachary Taylor, was a slave-holding Southerner. Fillmore was one of a long line of Northerners who gave in to the slave owners out of political expediency and his own covertly racist beliefs. Sounds like Biden to me. As a newly elected congressman in 1838, Fillmore favored abolishing slavery in the District of Columbia. He voted to allow congressional debate and oppose the annexation of Texas. In 1846, he called the Mexican War a wild and wicked scheme of foreign conquest meant to add, quote, another slave territory to the United States. You see how they pretend to be for you? and then turn against you for political expediency? They don't even have to pretend anymore. They're real clear from right as they're running. I'm not doing anything specifically for you. But oh, by the way, let me waive all of HBCU student loan debts, because mostly white folks and immigrants, from students to professors to the folks running the colleges, are whites and immigrants. Let me just do class-based policies, knowing that you'll continue to stay tethered to the bottom if I give everybody else something and deny you. So they don't even hide it anymore. They're just very much in your face with it. Danny Arnold says, run that zip code. It's a wrap. Vanilla Lave, relax. Trump 2020, whatever. Nisi Lore, I can't relax. My people are being marched off into a burning building, continuing this lesser two evil two-step shuffle all the way to our peril. I'm not relaxed on this show. If you need relaxation, you might want to tune into something more meditative, something more tranquil. Assume the lotus position. Don't come over to this show if you want relaxation. It's very tense and uptight for very sound reasons. That's not my show. There's lots of people doing that show. That's not this show. Nisi Lore, welcome to the live. Run that zip code. It's a wrap. Danny Arnold, after COVID-19, our reparations costs went up a couple of more trillions for sure. Danny says also there's a bipartisanship plot against ADOS. The cat is out of the bag, Democrats. Danny says that is a political graveyard. It absolutely is. Anywho, back to the text. But as the new president in 1850, Fillmore signed the Fugitive Slave Act into law. Listen to this puckery. And said there was no need to amend it in any way to protect free people from being kidnapped and sold in the South. 12 years a slave. Watch that movie and see how freemen were re-enslaved. Freedmen were re-enslaved. Fugitive Slavery Act. Like fellow Northerner John Adams, he feared that the presence of free Black people in the country would lead to a slave insurrection, like the one that had given Haiti its independence 50 years earlier. Isn't what they say now? Isn't that what they say now when they execute us with impunity? They were afraid for their lives. As you have no weapons on you, as you have nothing in your hand. They've been doing this for a long time, family. We're afraid. He finally said that slavery should end, but only on the condition that Black people would be repatriated to Africa. Yeah, get rid of the free ones so they don't give the enslaved ones any ideas. The only good thing about the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 is that it hastened the beginning of the Civil War and thus the end of slavery. Slavery did not end. It took on new forms of identification. Wait for it. It brought the evil of slavery home to Northerners who thought they could escape it. The name of the act is a rather bland description that doesn't tell the story of how it exacerbated tensions between North and South. It was not the first fugitive slave law. That one was dated 1793. Like its predecessor, the new version allowed for fugitives to be recaptured and sent back to their slaveholders. The scope of the 1850 legislation is what made it so vile. Not only did it give slaveholders a right to recapture their human property, but it also forced Northerners to assist in committing an act that many of them considered to be criminal. A marshal who did not assist in the capture of a fugitive could be fined up to $1,000. Anyone aiding a fugitive could also be fined $1,000 or sentenced to 6 months in jail. The captured person had no right to trial and could not testify on his or her own behalf. You know, Jim Crow was explained in the Black Tax. This is me speaking. I'm going to pull away from this for a second to talk about Jim Crow. This is how I mean slavery has never ended. They have just found new ways to re-enslave us through suppressing our incomes, through not hiring us, through us losing, like I said, 43% of our wealth under Obama, who created 1 million white millionaires on his watch during his tenure. You see, during Jim Crow, you know, after we were emancipated, they needed more free slave labor. So they would put us into contracts that made our expenses higher than our income. That kept us tethered to their plantations to continue to deliver on more chattel slave labor. They just built it into the laws. And what they did, if you refused to do the work for nothing, you're in the negative, so you're going to be working for the rest of your freaking life. If you refuse, they would put you in jail. And if you got to jail and decided you weren't going to work, you know, you were part of that convict leasing. So once you went to jail, they called it loitering, or I can't remember all the ways in which they named it. Okay. But if you refuse to work for less than nothing, because they lost, I want to say $20 trillion after they emancipated us. They recouped 15 trillion of it through Jim Crow. 4,000 people were lynched. That was a person a week. A black person was lynched per week for 75 years to scare you into doing, working for free. And if you refuse, they locked you up. 50% of our ancestors lost their lives in the prisons for refusing to do convict leasing, because basically them white devils was going to get you one way or another. If you refuse to work for negative, they put you in jail, take away your freedoms, and now you're working for them for free. Pick up the black tax, the cost of being American, the cost of being black in America. It will be on my book club read. I may read it before Darity. I may change those books out because he's at 70 trillion and I've got to see in there if he includes intellectual property. Look it up. Sean Rochester. Back to the text so I can close this show out. I'm at hour 3. Let me go back. Not only did it give slaveholders, okay, a marshal who did not assist, let me jump down. The captured person, anyone aiding a fugitive, okay, the captured person had no right to trial and could not testify on his or her own behalf. A portion of Fillmore's 1852 message to Congress was suppressed, but it was saved and lives on as Mr. Fillmore's views relating to slavery. The suppressed portion of the third annual message to Congress dated December 6, 1852. Now, in this text, Fillmore claims to think slavery an evil, but he concludes that it cannot be abolished and that black people, free and enslaved, should be sent away lest they be exterminated in a race war, which we're embarking on now, right? I shared on my wall today about Compton. Do you know the police have gangs out here in Compton? That's probably why the vigilante went up to the car and shot 2 officers. They're gangs within the police force in Compton. Look it up. Okay. Let's say, I quote, I see no remedy but by colonizing the free blacks either in Africa or the West Indies or both. This, it appears to me, is all that Congress can do, close quote. Fillmore was not the last pro-slavery Northerner. His immediate successors, Franklin Pierce and James Buchanan, continued in the same vein of placating the South. Compromise and court cases were ultimately unable to keep the nation from splitting into two and going to war. Now, Franklin Pierce is even shorter. I'll read it, and we can. I'll read the balance of the comments. I tried to keep up with it, as I've been talking. So I shouldn't have much to go through. Franklin Pierce is 1853 through 1857. Let me give you some context about what was going on during that era. Pre-Civil War. Okay. 1857. So Sojourner Truth gave her famous Ain't I a Woman speech at the Convention for Women's Rights in 1851. In 1857, the Dred Scott decision denies citizenship to all Black people. That is what was going on during Franklin Pierce's reign in office, along with Millard Fillmore. Franklin Pierce was among the Northern members of the Democratic Party who unquestionably served the slave owners. Democrats, are they still not serving the slave owners through the private prison industrial complex and the military industrial complex and Wall Street? His Secretary of War and close friend was Jefferson Davis, the future president of the Confederate Rebellion. The Missouri Compromise of 1820, which was once loved by the slave powers, was cast aside in favor of the 1854 Kansas-Nebraska Act, which Pierce drafted along with Senator Stephen A. Douglas of Illinois. It allowed new states to determine whether they would be soil for the slavocracy based on the concept of popular sovereignty. It upended the doctrine of balance, compromises of the sort that led to the creation of two houses of Congress, one that had an equal number of members per state, and the other that gave states representation based on population. Hence the Electoral College. Me speaking. Since the Missouri Compromise, there have been no new slave states admitted to the Union without any free soil state, without another free soil state being admitted as well. During his 4-year term, Pierce sought to expand slavery, not just in the U.S., but in the Caribbean and Central America as well. He recognized a renegade government established by William Walker, an outlaw American filibuster, someone who instigates military actions in foreign countries without the official support of the U.S. government, but often with its approval and support. Ooh, these rascals, these devils, living in Nicaragua. Walker was a Tennessean with a predilection for grandiose scheming who briefly held territory in Mexico before deciding to make himself president of Nicaragua and reinstate slavery, which had been abolished there 30 years earlier. The Democrats. Walker was eventually undone, but the powerful slavery system was eager for more territory. When he wasn't giving a free hand to Walker and other filibusters, Pierce was trying to obtain other countries. He offered Spain $100 million to purchase Cuba, but the offer came with a threat of annexation if Spain didn't agree to the terms. Cuba was just 90 miles from Florida and had a centuries-old slave-based plantation economy that Southerners wanted to make their own. The diplomat Pierce chose for the job was a very undiplomatic Pierre Solé. Solé made no secret of his intentions. He killed a French ambassador in a duel and also killed the plan when it became public. As war approached, Pierce again wrote to his friend Jefferson Davis in 1860 and spoke of a hope to overthrow political abolitionism at the polls. This letter was discovered at Davis's home by Union troops and was used to accuse Pierce of disloyalty. The accusation was all too true. Pierce was pro-Confederate and deserved the denunciation. Next time, family, we're going to be reading James Buchanan. And we're going to head into Reconstruction with Abraham Lincoln. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The puckery. Anywho, let me pray us out. Let me see what else my lovely co-hosts are saying to me. Okay. Welcome to the live, Eerie Black Fire. Trey says, yes, the executioners. Danny says, we are definitely owed intellectual property after the fact. They stole it and made fortunes from selling it right back to ADOS. You best believe that, Danny. Nicole, immigrants didn't even want to be in the South during Jim Crow. We paved the way for them to live here in the South after the Civil Rights Movement. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We are their reparations. While they sit on the sidelines, many of them impeding and interfering with our fight for reparations because they don't want to be on the bottom. But we're done being on the bottom. That stops this election cycle. We are just growing in this movement. The woke Gen Xers, the woke boomers, the woke millennials will be protest vote. Green Party top of the ticket. We're vetting them to see if that's a home for us. They have an ADOS, Angela Walker, running for VP. I'm hopeful to have her on my show. ADOS DMV Tansy Flakes has had a long 3-hour conversation with her. She's a single mom truck driver, ADOS, and she understands ADOS because she's one of us, and they've got reparations on their platform. Okay, they need some edits, but at least they're running it on their platform, unlike the Democrats who want to give a pathway to citizenship for more immigrants, Kamala included. Her and Biden are intending to give H-1B visas to Brahmin Indian caste for more tech jobs in this country, while telling you they're not doing anything specifically for you. Danny says, great point, Nicole. We had to go through that for them to get here. Yes. Where were they during colored and white water fountains? Oh, yeah. We are their reparations. Trust and believe. Uh-oh, Abe, you better know it. Tune in on Thursday, family, 6 o'clock. Same time, same bat station. Friends of ADOS TV channel. Share, share, share. Help make this video go viral. That Color Wealth Miami explains why the Latinos and Hispanics down there, the Latinx community, is pro-Trump and anti-Biden. They don't want any more immigrants because they don't want to become us. They've made us bottom caste in this country. I'm not blaming them directly. I'm talking about the government. Weaponized immigration to tether us to the bottom, to deny us the justice claim in the trillions over multi-generations. But if we don't sleep, the Democrats don't get to sleep. That's how that works. So help to make this video go viral. I'll see you guys Thursday. Once again, for those who didn't tune in at the top of the show, I'm now moving to Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, feeling good in my spirit to do my third show for the week. It's a lot on me emotionally. As you see, I expend a lot of energy because it's just diabolical what this country has been instrumental in doing to us since they brought us over here in chains. And I feel for ADOS. They're my people whom I love black and strong. I love everyone who loves us. Okay? But if you're an enemy to ADOS and you get in the way of what I'm feeling, I've got nothing for you. That's a good point, Angela Nirvana. Thank you, my loves. And with that said, I'm going to pray us out for those who, don't believe in that. I'll see you on Thursday. For the others of you, I want to tell you that the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever ADOS and its allies are, God truly is. Because, family, you are the face of God. You are the voice of God. You are the body temple of the spirit of the living God. Until Thursday, family, you go out here in these streets and act like you know who you are. And you make it a beautiful, God-inspired rest of your evening and Wednesday. I'll see you Thursday night. I love you, Black. I love you, strong. Peace.